Close this. All right. So good afternoon, everybody. This is computing research methods, and we are going to be looking at how to use Google Scholar. You see my screen, right?
No, miss.
Oh, it's not. Okay, I need to go back and share screen. I thought I was sharing.
Miss, I have a quick question. This says it's a live stream and not a recording.
Yeah.
Is it still being recorded as a live stream?
No, it's being recorded on YouTube. That's my choice.
Oh, okay.
It's being recorded on YouTube just for this class. As I mentioned to everybody who came in, that's the way I'm recording, because it's my channel and my choice. And I'm not going to be recording most labs or tutorials anyway. I'm just doing it because, as I told people earlier, I'm doing that because I'm not this, make this smaller. Let's make that smaller, and let's go now to let's go to this one. This was nice and small. Let's go to this. All right. So as I was saying earlier, good afternoon. Just because if you're going to come in just looking at this, I don't know how many people. So if you go to Google, you can type in Google Scholar. Sorry, this is going to be streamed on YouTube. So if you, at the end, we can talk about how you can access it. Okay, now let's just pay attention. Right. So we have some animation students here, and we have students at a number of different degrees. So as my first example, I'm going to use animation, and I'm going to use something else as my second example. So in the past, so Google Scholar is a online search engine for scholarly articles. There actually are quite a number. Let me just take 2 seconds to show you. Everybody here should know as well how to University of Technology, not coming up. Right. So if you go to UTech and go to their website, you can go to staff or students, it doesn't matter. Let's look at what happens if you go to the students. If you go to students at UTech, you'll see that one of the options is the library. It happens to be called Calvin McLean Library. You can also do it here. And if you click on the library, you'll see this. And I'm bringing this up for a purpose. This is before we get to Google Scholar, just letting you know that you are all students in the Faculty of Engineering and Computing, and the liaison person is Tricia Price, and this is her email. And you can email her or the reference librarian for help. I'll soon explain what kind of help you'd want from them. And this is actually related to what we're doing for the lab for today. But there's a knowledge portal, which you should have learned about in academic writing. If you had gone to the lab, like in academic writing 1 and 2, they would have had a session that students are supposed to go to the lab, whether virtually or in person. I know they used to have them, but many students didn't turn up. So I'm going to do a brief version of what they do in that lab. So there's something called online databases, and there's something else called online search engines. So today I'm going to be focusing the time today on how to use an online scholarly search engine. But you should all know that there are online databases that can be used to access information. So there's a long list at UTech, since there are other days. So just to quickly show you the ones that would be mostly related to your course of study. If you're a computer scientist, might be of help. ACM is the Association of Computer Machinery. That's the largest computing association of English-speaking people in the world. So this might be useful to you. EBSCO, which is a generic online database, might be helpful. Emerald Insight might also be helpful. IEEE is engineering, and in case you all don't know, computing is sometimes considered a subset. So there's a core collection of electrical engineering and computing journals. This could also, the IEE Digital Library might be useful. Progress might be, Research for Life might be, Taylor and Francis might be, even Sage might be. Now, the challenge about using these specific online databases is that they each have separate information. So let's even take people who are majoring in computer science. The ACM and IEEE would be the most relevant to computer science specialists. What is in ACM and what is in IEEE is not the same. and even there's another one. And so you'd actually have to search in this database and then search in this database, but they don't have the same content. And depending what you're looking for, you might need to search in 3 or 4 different databases because there's not one central online database that does all the searches. And you can learn how to use each of them. It's really not that hard. So, you know, you could go to any one of them. So let's go to ESCOhost right now. And I'm going to show you how to use it because it's mostly obvious. If you go to ESCO, you're going to see here that this is a list. You can do all subject areas. And if you had clicked this, it's going to be somewhere where they actually have a search tool where you put in the words. And they have advanced search and basic search, and you press search. And it's just like how everybody in the class here can use Google. You can spend some time and you can learn how to use this, or you can just experiment. But in the class, I'm not going to spend the time to show you how to use it. Because here's the thing, if you go back and said, remember I said to you, there's this library. The thing is, after you do a search, you can always contact the librarians because they can assist you. So we have one assigned to all faculty, which you can email. So and it's free. So all students can email the librarians, and I'm going to explain to you why very soon when we go to Google Scholar, why it makes sense to email the librarians. So people in animation, which aspect of animation do you think it's worth doing research on? Research, you know, anybody? Or even people who are not in animation? Before, yes, Mr. Cross.
Emerging, can you hear
Go
me?
ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Emerging technologies in the animation space or art space.
Okay,
Anything
but
specific?
emerging technologies is rather broad. Could you be more
Yeah.
specific? What emerging technologies would you like to look at?
Okay, so something that's plaguing the art community on a whole now is the emergence of machine learning,
Yes.
the term as AI.
Yeah, man, sorry, machine learning is a subset of AI. But what exactly about machine learning in animation you want to? Are you concerned? In fact, I just watched CBS Sunday Morning. It was fascinating. They had an article about maybe it's 10 minutes clip and we're saying artificial and artificial. And they showed that right now there's tools, and it was quite fascinating, that can be used to do arts, not animation. Art, and it was really cool. Like you could do like maybe Frankfurter Van Gogh style, and I was like in a few seconds, bam! I was amazed. All these different artistic styles, and the current right now AI can do like production of, you know, like okay-ish art. Meaning, I would give it at least a good B plus A minus. Like nice looking art, you know. And I'm like, wow. So, but what particularly about machine learning for animation are you concerned about, apart from I think not want to have a job? Is that it? Is that what you basically? Sorry, I'm guessing though.
No, not so much about
So
now.
please, what am I going to? Let's just type. Let me see. Let's press type, and we'll get 294,000 results.
Okay.
And see, by the way, guys, you can put in results in the chat. Some people, oh, DALL-E, right? I think that's exactly what I saw on the program. They were talking about DALL-E in particular. So that's specific. So by the way, on Google Scholar, you're not going to find specifics like DALL-E. I never heard about it. Say, hey, just so it's Sunday. I know that is something called, and open AI would probably be open source AI. Yes, okay, that makes more sense. Like, as it is more likely to putting open AI as a search as opposed to specifics. You understand what I'm saying that, guys? Because scholarly articles is really like what scholars are talking about, and they're not going to be talking about specifics. Like DALL-E is a specific software tool that is deep learning, which is a subset of machine learning for both art and animation. But yeah, that's kind of cool. So in fact, maybe somebody said OpenAI. So let's put in OpenAI, just out of curiosity, artificial intelligence. I'm not typing this right. Artificial, and I have to put in intelligence. Let's put in the whole thing. Although I think they kind of know what I mean. Right, there you go. So let's put in this. So it's instead of the 240, I'm down to 87,000. And then we can now look to see if any of these things. So like interestingly, but this is not about animation anymore. So you see, like this AI moving serious gaming, you can reuse gaming components for AI. But I'm wanting to
Well,
find.
it's
No,
all related.
I'm look. Yeah, man, but I'm looking just because I want to not ignore the AI people, the animation students. I wanted to use. I want to first use yeah, artificial animation example. In fact, let me just see. I don't think there'll be any systematic reviews here. Systematic reviews. Anybody here knows what a systematic review is?
No, well, I don't.
Okay, so a systematic review is a paper that looks in a organized, like maybe the systematic. It looks in an organized fashion for a comprehensive list of articles on a topic using a number of keywords to find all the articles that are relevant on a topic. So for example, when this says systematic review of AI applications in higher education, it's looking at what do we know about AI in educations for at the time. So I was just looking
Okay.
to see if there are any systematic reviews, and there's another term called a meta-analytical review, which is where you look at the reviews that have statistics, and you review, and the person who's doing it is usually a group of people, basically look at the statistics on many what is called empirical studies to find what is a trend. But I don't see any systematic reviews right away, so let's anymore about the systematic reviews. So we'll do that for the next topic. But I'm looking here, and I'm just looking for this article, new visual expression of anime film based on AI and machine technology, cited by 6. And this gaming is not about that. 3D animation cluster. Survey of human gait. Well, this actually sounds interesting to me. Well, does this sound interesting to you guys? The first one sounds interesting. Human gait-based artificial intelligence applications. Okay, let's continue. Nobody says it's so interesting to them. So interesting to me. This is not about artificial animation. This one here. Deep learning for delamination. What is delamination? I don't know what that is. I know that gait is just walking. What is delamination identification? Don't know that fancy word. Anybody knows?
No, sir. Not
Okay.
me.
We could open it up and see, because it's published this year, 2023. I'm just trying to find an article quickly so we can move on. This is not about that. That is not about that. So it's moving on. In fact, let's take out OpenAI and just stick to animation, machine learning. Where was the paper I had before? So this is the same delamination. Where's the one I found from before? I'm just looking quickly. I'm looking at the titles only now. So this is animation, and I was saying, oh, this is cognitive characters. What's a cognitive character? What's a cognitive character?
I don't know.
You guys,
It's the
let's look
first
at this
time I've
one.
ever seen that term.
Yeah, man. So let's look and see what this is. So the abstract should tell us. So this paper addresses the problem of cognitive character animation. We propose a finite machine shape. This is computer science. Our approach rests on the idea that cognitive character arises from evolutionary computation. In fact, before we go any further, I guess we need to know what's the word again? Cognitive character animation. So if you guys don't know, let's just go here. Let's Google it. Hopefully so we can find out what it means. Oh, this doesn't tell me either. Oh, sounds complicated, but it's actually people are writing about it from 2008. So it's not a new idea. It's 3D animation that synthesizes relevant research from diverse perspectives: neuroscience, narratology, robotics, anthropology, cognitive psychology, and social mind, and consider how they may be integrated as theory for animations and animation studies. The article focuses on character conception and creation. It sounds like you're going to use like a whole heap of different types of disciplines in order to create 3D. Character animation. Wow, I don't know. I think that is too advanced for all of us in here, including even people. So let's try to find an article that we know what it means. What do you think? We need to find something that we can read and understand right now, you know. That's the whole point. So I'm going back to I found one before that I liked. I'm going to look at that one since we don't want to spend all day. Where was it again? I've now lost it.
Unless it was something about gate-based.
Oh, right. In fact, I just put in the gateways and that might help. Yes, thanks for the reminder, gate. Let's put gate. So let's say we decide that we're interested in finding about machine learning and gate. So we see here, this was the one that was recent. It's cited by 6, but there are others, you know. So there's this one here, 2018, recent developments in gate research. So I would open both of these 2 articles if I was interested in finding out what is happening with research. This one, because it's cited by 174 people, and this one because it's recent and already cited by 6 people, 6 different papers, even though it was just published last year. So I would immediately go to the right, because sometimes we go to the left, you don't open the whole article. If you go to the right and press right click, it will come up. Is it coming up? Let's close this. Where's my article? Let's close that. Let's close this. Let's find my article here. So this is the article. You see my screen, right?
Yeah, we can
So
still
this
see
is
it.
great. So let's make it a little bigger. So this article, which thankfully we can read the whole thing, as in not just the abstract. So you can always read the abstract. Abstract is a summary of the paper, but we can also see the whole paper. So this is the whole paper here. So this is just, we're going to glance at the abstract to see what the paper is about. Remember, this is the recent paper published last year, January. So they looked at the published works in the last basically about 10 years that looked at human gait studies and applying machine learning techniques. And they found 6 key applications and they list them. I'm not going to read them now, but we don't have the time. So there are 6 types according to them. And animation that reconstructs human motion utilizing gait data, simulation, and machine. Oh, that was the 6 types, sorry. So there are 6 types, which I'm not going to read. Our goal in the paper is to provide a single broad-based survey of the applications of machine learning technology in gait analysis and identify future areas of potential study and growth. We discuss the machine learning techniques that have been used with a focus on the tasks they perform, the problems they attempt to solve, and the trade-offs they navigate. Now, here's a comment I have so far, guys. You see this article? This article is going to be challenging both for the computer science students in here and for the students who are animation students, because the animation students have never studied computer science and the computer science students have never studied animation. But hey, if we were to look at it, there's an introduction. We're not going to read it. We're not going to read it now, just showing you how to glance at the article. So first, they're going to get into what do we know about gait in the context of AI. That's what they're talking about here. One way to see if it's a well-written article, you can just read the first line of every paragraph to see what it's talking about. We don't have time for that right now for what I'm doing. So they're telling you what the numbers of papers in this area has been going up over the years. That's what that's showing. And then they talk about, they looked at a lot of papers and they excluded 393 papers. Interesting. So this is what is called a review paper. But they're trying to do a review of the papers on AI in gait for the last about 10 years, because they gave the range. And this is the 6 areas. And then they'll tell you about the vocabulary used, and they have a table which you can open. So I could have opened this in a new tab, which I'm going to do for 2 seconds. It's not opening, or I can do this here. So it gives me the vocabulary to define each of these things, which we don't have time to look at now. So if you had the time, you can look at that. Moving on. And then they divided their paper into first, there was an introduction. Then they moved, and notice the introduction actually has what is called citation. So there's citation to some references in there. I see, this is a reference, for example, and there's some references. Then after the introduction, they decide to define vocabulary. Then they're now talking about gait analysis and how gait, as in how you walk, is analyzed in order to animate it. And then these are all talking about how computer science, machine learning is used to do gait analysis. And then they move from gait analysis to health and wellness, which doesn't surprise me because I can think about like people with strokes don't have good gait. People with Alzheimer's don't have good gait. You know, there are certain diseases, your gait is going to be adversely affected. So now they're talking about clinical gait analysis, which is looking for a definitive diagnosis of some pathology. Not surprising. So they talk about that here and what is abnormal gait. They talk about fatigued gait. Well, I guess when you're walking for a long time, you're tired. I don't know. Could read about it. Neurological diseases like Parkinson. And then they talk about the pathological gait, and we could make that bigger. Then they talk about sports. I don't know, what does SG stand for? I don't know. Anybody knows? SG obviously stands for something, and maybe they defined it earlier, and I don't know. But this is, we can actually know why gait is very important. Think about Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt actually had a gait, or has a gait problem. You know that he has a problem with his spine. So he actually used to be in the National Stadium pool in order to correct his gait. For those who don't know, so gait is very important in sports, and even how much money Usain made from correcting his gait, obviously a non-trivial matter. So I'm not surprised that they decided to talk about it in sports when people go in it. I mean, I'm not to make us read. I'm just saying, why is this here? We know why. Fall detection. So falls is very expensive for elderly people. It tends to be so that's why they talk about this here. We're not going to look at it. Tracking human posing, gaits, biometrics, whatever that is. I can figure because biometrics is computing, not sure what it is exactly in this context. The thing is, if you're going to do a research project on gait, I would suggest that this is a comprehensive overview. You would explore one of these areas. You would either look at one gait device, or you look at, you might decide to focus on sports or health or fatigued gait. Why? Because one research study could not look at all of these things if you're going to actually do a study for the class. But just see what the thing is about, and then it ends, or it gets into smart homes. I wonder why smart homes is being talked about in gait. I don't know. So there probably is a good reason. We don't have time to look at it, but this is actually a good comprehensive article. And then they have a conclusion telling you that this is a growing field. And I can say this is non-trivial, because if you just want to, if you guys want to do an animation of gait for like, what's the right word for it? I want to call it a cartoon. Clearly having the gait look proper is also non-trivial. So we want gaits that look natural, unless it's that somebody's sick and you want them to look sick. But whatever this talks about, that's what this paper is long. Is this anything here? Sasha Lee says true. Sasha Lee, I still don't see the link to maybe you're paying attention, so maybe we're gonna bring it back in the next class.
No,
Right.
Victoria, I had sent it and some students enter the info, but I guess you just missed it. I can resend it.
Okay, no problem. I just didn't see it in the chat, that's all. Yes, so I'm going to go now from this. Oh, somebody else coming in. Right, so I'm going to, I went wrong place. I want to go back to where am I going to go? Let me close this and close this. Let's go back here. So I was saying the other article here that is interesting to me is this one, right? Because, so before we go further, you notice that I'm here to show you how Google Scholar works. You see here that this in UTech, especially in SCIT, we use APA. So this is MLA APA. There are different styles that you refer to an article. You just need to highlight it and then just press copy. That's it. So you just press the site, it brings this up, you hold on to the APA, copy, and that's it. You can look at related articles. So related art, in addition to this, let's open this first. So this article is cited by 173 articles. But 174 different articles cited that article, meaning in their paper they cited it. This is useful because if you decide to do a paper on GATE and AI, some of these articles might be relevant, and so you can scroll down to see which of these relevant to your discussion. Okay, we want to look at the paper itself too. And usually what you do first of all is to look at the abstract. Now here, what we brought up is that this article costs $39.95, and even I don't want to pay that, and nobody in the class wants to pay that. This is the abstract. If you read the abstract and decide that, yes, this is a paper I want to look at, the next thing I would do is either go to the UTech online databases. If you remember, I just said it. We've copied the APA format for this, so we'll have the reference to it. We would copy this and go and search for it in UTech's online databases, or we email the UTech librarian, the one for our faculty or the main one, to say, hi, I'm a student, I'm a computing student, I am interested in getting reference to this article. And then in about over 90% of the time, they would send you a link to the article. If UTech already has it in their database, that would usually happen in less than 24 hours if you send it to an email address. Usually, if it's one that UTech doesn't have in there, it might take up to a whole week, usually 3 days, 3 days to a week. There are very few times that they will tell you that they don't have access to it. And for those wondering why it takes so long for 3 days to a week, because they're actually sending to other libraries to ask, can that library send UTech the article, which is actually not cheating. It's not plagiarism, it's not thieving. All libraries have relationships with each other. So instead of paying the $39 or the $40, you send to the librarian, not at the last minute. So that's why you start doing your research early. So remember I was telling you, if you go to the right, so there's some article that you say pay, but it might be on something called ResearchGate. And you click on this and it takes you to ResearchGate. Let me see. So this, for example, this. Let me see if this one is actually not free. You know what this is about? This may be free or not free. Oh no, oh yes, sign in. Like this, you only get to this article, whatever it's about, right? This is the engineering article on GATE. And if I, instead of doing this, just went to ResearchGate to actually get the whole article. I'm just showing you one easy way to get to the article. Click on the right. So you get a sense of how to do research. As I mentioned, do research. I don't even want to call it research. How to find articles of relevance to your research topic. So the biggest thing that we're doing today, and since we're 5 more minutes left, not going to go to another topic for today, is I'm showing you how to find articles of relevance. So we could then, in addition to look at the cited, let's go back to this article. Now, so let's see if there's anything else on GATE. We could decide to look at recent articles on GATE. So we could even set up 2019, we could say since 2017, so that's the last 5 years. So we find the recent articles on GATE and animation. Sorry, GATE, machine learning and animation. And we're now looking at it. Maybe we don't just mean machine learning, maybe we just want GATE. Maybe we just want GATE and animation. Maybe that's more articles, I don't know. And we just start looking through the list. By the way, guys, there's something called looking beyond the first 10 results. Because you're really looking for good articles, you need to just be able to scan. The first thing you look at is the title, the next thing you look at is the abstract. And if the abstract is good, that's when you want to look at the more of the paper. Any questions or comments so far? Because I haven't gotten to the sources in the chat. So Daniel said that's interesting. Oh, thanks for the link. I see it. So for those who came in late, I wanted to sign the register. So everybody has signed the register. That link in the chat is to sign the register. So you should kindly put your name, ID, number, etc. details. And right, and I should make sure I get this before. No question? Everybody is following what I'm doing? So the person who wants to look at gait, what have you not have by choosing gait and animation? What more would you like to know? Do you think that these articles would help you to find out enough about gait and animation that you know where to go? I just chose gait because I had to choose something, because animation and all the machine learning is too large. And as I said, based on what I just glanced at just now, even gait and animation is way too large, because we saw the multi different subset of areas that gait is used in animation or used in machine learning. So many things. Does that make sense? Nobody's quiet. All right. All right. We have a few more seconds before the class ends. Is there another topic? We can spend a little bit of time on another topic. Something outside of animation. Give me a topic.
Data.
What's that? This is a topic. Sorry, let me help you out here. I'm not talking about saying things like animation is not a topic either. No, I want a specific area you want to research. Data? What do you mean? Big data, baby? And even big data is a bit
Yes, that's what I said, Miss Big Data.
Oh, big data. Computer science is a discipline. What about Java? For those who don't know, Java is a programming language. I'm not
AI.
AI is too. We already look at AI, so we're not going to go to AI because we just look at an example of AI and animation. We saw how big that was. So let me see what about big data? So let me show you. Big data is a very massive topic. So when we put in big data, we're going to show you how big data is. 10 billion in Google Scholar. And if you went from this to Google, we see how big it is. Even bigger. It's even bigger. Big data. So what about it's 7? What's that? That's 7 billion results in Google and 10 billion results in Google Scholar. So what about big data would you like to look at? Because you see here is a review of the reviews has 1746 results. Game coding in C++, that is kind of no, I'm not going to in the next few seconds I want something that everybody can understand. Everybody not going to understand what is game coding in C++. So what about big data? Let's say with the big data. What about big data? What I see coming up when I do a search, they're giving me analytics, Hadoop, error, cloud, analytics in healthcare, challenging opportunities. I don't even know what the veracity is. I'm not sure what V is big data. Let's see. No, we're not. We're switching. We're staying with big data. We're staying with big data, but class is about to end. Class is ending now. So nobody likes any of these subtopics in big data.
Analytics in healthcare seems interesting.
All right, let's stick to this for the next 5 minutes because we're now out of class time. So if we look at big data, we still see 340 results, and we could decide to look at it. So back to here, I wanted to look at a systematic review. So this system review in 2018 was cited by a lot of people to 403. And this article, oh yes, the whole article is there. So this article tells us that big data analytics in healthcare has immense potential for improving quality of care, reducing waste and error, and reducing the cost of care. Right? We're not going to read the rest of it, but let's get to what they found. They found that they found 58 articles, and they had different categories of those articles. And the conclusion is there's a paucity, that means a small amount. There's a small amount of information on the evidence of real world use of big data analytics in healthcare. That is because the usability, anybody knows what that word means? Hold on, nobody here knows what the word usability means? it basically means if it's easy to use. So this is research studies that look at whether things are easy to use. That's what usability is. Because the usability studies have considered only qualitative approach, I think qualitative like asking the participants how they think or feel about it, like probably in an interview or a focus group, which we're going to talk about that in the future, which describes potential benefits, but does not take account the quantitative study. So they've not been measuring quantitatively, does big data analytics actually have an impact quantitatively? The majority of studies were from developed countries, and it needs to be looked at in developing countries. So what we see here is that there are two gaps mentioned here. So one gap is three gaps actually. So one gap is that we don't know whether we don't know the effect of big data analytics in healthcare in the real world. The next thing is that the studies are on qualitative, but there's not much studies of quantitative. And another gap is that there are not much studies in developing countries. So there are three gaps mentioned in this conclusion. We're going to talk in the future what we mean by a gap, but basically that gap is things that we don't have enough. The whole world doesn't have enough information. Because this systematic review is an attempt to write on everything known about the subject at the time. So this is published in 2018, so recently. And then they go through again, there's an introduction with references. And this is one of these articles where it's a snippets. So if you look back to that article here, interestingly, what I clicked on did not give me the entire article. So again, if I go to the PDF, I'm going to get the whole article. So if I go to PDF, here's the whole article. So I'm just showing you what is the way to get the whole article. This is the whole article. What I clicked on before didn't give me the whole article. And there's much to be learned about this whole area. So we have so what I would do first of all is look for the systematic reviews, see if there's any. I already found one. So there was one. So there's reviews and systematic reviews. So that's what we want to look for. Systematic reviews, it's another one here. So I look at these two, so another one. So I will look at the systematic reviews, big data. So there's several. So I would always look at the systematic reviews and reviews first. Then we could even look to see if there's anything called a meta-analysis.
Excuse me, miss.
Yes, it's the end of the class, I know.
Yeah, I have another class to go to.
No problem. Take care. I'll see you at 4 o'clock.
Yes.
No problem. Right, guys, so you could do this, and then basically it's just to continue searching through the articles. And we're going to end right there, since I actually have I have another class at 5 o'clock. I need to prepare for that class. So I will see you at 4. We'll stop share and let's stop the